So the man, the myth, the legend, the man with the golden voice himself, Beau Curley, stops by the pod. Wow. That's all I can say. Literally just wow. And if you haven't already, go check him out at Beau the Goat TV on TikTok. But definitely such a pleasure talking. Again, Beau.
I think talking to food creators and other chefs and other people on TikTok is amazing. Can you hear me, Casey? Am I good?
You're good. Your levels are good.
What you sipping on, dog?
Are you recording now too?
What you sipping on? Green tea?
Yo, I'm always sipping on tea, my guy.
Okay.
Yo, today's pour tea today.
Oh, okay.
So no oolong, but just two pour.
So Beau, what do you like, tea or coffee?
Tea every morning, but I am a blonde espresso, 2 pumps of caramel, salted cold foam guy. Probably 3 times a week. Yeah, man. That's like the
full order.
It's basically the caramel macchiato latte without all the bullshit. It's just the espresso, and the salted caramel cold foam is legit. It's like 300 calories and I'm in and out. So that's like my go-to. But any other day, man, it's like some mint tea in the morning, you know, something. Yeah.
That's cool. Dude, it's crazy because I just recently upgraded my espresso machine. I'm really big into espresso. So I upgraded to I would call it a beginner level prosumer espresso machine. So I had a Breville for years, but let me tell you something, man, like actually dialing an espresso shot and like really sourcing the beans. It's almost like cooking, to be honest with you. I never knew what good espresso tastes like until I went down this rabbit hole of like actually weighing the beans, figuring out the grinder, and then, the espresso shot. And it's amazing because I'll never go back, man. I can't believe I can't believe how you can change the taste and the texture of a shot just by making a few tweaks by either less grinds in the actual machine or, grinding it a little bit smoother. I mean, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So listen, this is my first time meeting you, and I just want to get like a 3-minute summary. Where are you from? What got you into food? How old are you? How many kids? What your family's like? If we could just do that, that'd be awesome for me and our listeners.
Yeah, sure. So my name's Beau. I am 38 years old, married with 4 kids. So my food journey is kind of complicated. So I did the corporate thing. I worked at a corporate extended warranty insurance company up until 2018. I was with the same company for a little over a decade. In college, I was going to retire a C-level executive and live that life. I got a very transparent view of corporate America. In September of 2018, parted ways with the company. At the time, I had just lost a bunch of weight. So I was back up a little bit. I was 475. I fly home to see my mom. She loses a bunch of weight. I come back that Monday and lose, just go on this warpath, lose 200 pounds, whatever. So that is really when my relationship with food got very intimate, because I love food so much. But I was one of those big people who were like, man, I'm not eating that shit. Why can't I eat what I want to eat and maybe cut corners in the prep and not sacrifice taste? Because back then, they were doing baked salmon, no salt, no pepper. Everybody was scared of everything. So at any rate, I'm in NutriShop Alliance, and a friend of mine at the time, Mike, who's now my business partner, he was following me on Instagram, and he goes, dude, you should try selling your food. And I go, all right, man, I'll do a pop-up. That pop-up spawned Proper Prep LLC. I don't want to call it a secret because I kind of got into a back and forth about this on TikTok yesterday. So I currently serve as CEO of Proper Prep LLC, which is a meal prep company here in Dallas, Fort Worth. And the question I get asked is, why didn't you say anything, blah, 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 which kind of leads into the TikTok thing. So another friend of mine was at Disney, right? And I did Shop to Meter. I love you guys. No disrespect intended. They had posted a video of king crab legs, and the girl was trying to break the king crab legs, but they were literally bending. They were rubber. So I send my boy Eddie a video, and I go, dude, how the hell am I not viral? I know the content I put out. So he says, dude, you should do duets. So I'm like, what the fuck is a duet? And he's like, go on TikTok, search a duet. It's basically people commenting on videos. And I'm like, well, shit, I do that every day with you anyway. So he's like, all right, do it. ironically enough, I do a medium rare. This dude he deep fried a pecan. It was something crazy. And chef, you actually commented on it. So I do a bunch of research on how to get engagement on TikTok videos.
Yeah.
And so I hear if you say wrong information, it'll trigger engagement. So I'm like, guys, medium rare is 140 to 155 degrees. And people like came for me in the comments. That video did 1 million. And so I kind of thought it was a fluke. And then I did like 1 or 2 other videos. And the beauty of it was, you know, when I do stuff for the business, and you guys know this, for proper prep, you know, you got to make sure that the company's image is maintained. There's a certain aura I want to display when I'm talking about proper prep. But on TikTok, man, it's just Beau. It's the father of 4. I can be myself unapologetically, excuse me. So my journey with food has always been discovery, which is why, you know how Siri likes to
Siri be popping up.
Chill out, Siri.
Right. So I'll be honest with you, never worked in a kitchen. You know, I grew up an only child. I've always been into cooking though. So I would watch Emeril Lagasse shows, bam, right. Yeah. And I'd go in the kitchen and just try and recreate whatever he did. What I didn't realize, what I was really practicing as a kid, and then my children, working in corporate America, you need an outlet, right? Cooking was my outlet. So my cooking was passion and feel based. I was cooking for my kids, my wife, et cetera, lost the weight, and, you know, big into my faith, man. Sometimes God will kind of give me a tap on the shoulder to go, dude, you should go try and sell your food. Dude, you should hop on TikTok. And every little hint I pay attention to. So here I am, man. I mean, it's been I do not have a long background in the culinary space. You know, corporate America is kind of my thing, but, you know, just kind of found my thing with TikTok.
Dude, that's amazing, man. That's a great story. I love that, man.
That's pretty awesome.
I absolutely love that, man. And I try to tell people all the time, man, like, you don't need to have training to cook food. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I also had a meal company. So I had a meal prep company in Los Angeles called Packed Meals, right? And then my brother has one in Philly, and it's called Stacked Meals, which he's up and coming right now. We're partners in that. But I think meal prep is the future. Seriously, people don't want to prep their food, man. People 100%. Convenience is king. But just getting back to, you know, when I first started out on TikTok, I as well did duets, and I was duetting. But the problem is you might see I might throw a couple like #chef authorized duets. But the problem that I was running into is the community that I was building was too much hate for me. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
They want me to rip people apart, and I'm just not into that. Like I will like correct something if I see it wrong, or I'll give my point of view in the most positive way. But I don't like that Gordon Ramsay type of duetting, right? And this is all people wanted. Like literally, like 90% of my people wanted. They're just nasty people, and so that's the only thing. Like with duetting, like, and I'm not gonna lie, I was. And I'm just going to tell a little snapshot. I know Casey's probably heard this like 17,000 times. So I committed to doing TikToks. I was like, yeah, I'm going to post every single day. Right. And then I swear to God, I had posted like 40 to 50 videos back to back. Nothing. Still only 800 followers. And I'm like, okay, you know what? It's fine. Like, this is part of it. I was like, you know, Gary Vee just tells me to post, so I'm just going to do it. I shit you not. No, I used my selfie camera. I duetted somebody making an au poivre steak. Okay. And I'm like, you know what, this is a good video. And then I'm not correcting or anything. I'm just encouraging, because I think a lot of people get intimidated with making classics, you know, like with like whether it's hollandaise or eggs Benedict or au poivre sauce or bechamel, they get really intimidated because there's a certain structure you have to follow. I duetted this video and it popped off, man. I'm talking like, you know, it went extremely viral. And I was like, oh my God. So I just continued to do that. But I changed the game up because, like I said, I didn't like the following that I was getting. Like now my follower base, if you look at my comments, it's unique. People are actually engaged. You know what I'm saying? The analytics are really good. But when I was doing the duets, man, I just realized that people wanted me to be Gordon Ramsay. And I was just not liking, you know what I'm saying? Like, that, I don't know if you notice that as well, but like you get a lot of trolls and a lot of hating, and people want you to freaking crush people's soul. And I'm like, And I'm like, hey, I'm like, listen, I'm not that type of chef. And I'm like, I really wish you guys knew Gordon Ramsay for the type of chef that I know Gordon Ramsay as. And what people don't realize is Gordon Ramsay, in my eyes, is one of the leaders in the culinary industry. He got 3 Michelin stars. He worked for Marco Pierre White. He is a really amazing chef. But guess what his legacy is? His legacy is trashed. His legacy is trashed. All he is known as is this chef that screams.
Hell's Kitchen.
Exactly.
I mean, like this, I'm a regular, not to cut you off, but like me as a non-professional, just a consumer, 4 or 5 years ago, he likes to yell. I mean, what's sad is the Gordon clips I have in my head are him going off. I really don't have many Gordon clips in my head of him actually talking. And it's funny you mentioned the duet thing. I purposely changed my structure. So when I do it, I had a checklist. For one, I had to mention the original creator and I had to shout them out within the opening, which is really why I started the one take thing, because I wanted to give a break of, hey, chef, shout out to Chef Authorized for these fluffy eggs, one take, blah, 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 blah. And I never, to your point, here's what's weird about the culinary space and something so subjective has so much specificity. I don't get it. I can cook one dish. I can give it to 10 different people. I will get probably 8 to 10 different responses. But and it's funny you mentioned about the hollandaise, béarnaise, that one sandwich I did the other day. This is what I wanted. I wanted yolk, a little bit of kick. And I was like, should I do a classic? I'm like, I'm going to do what I want. Like and I actually made a joke and I said, call it Beaunaise. I don't give a shit. It was still good. You know what I mean? And it's just, so like whenever I talk to people about food and they're like, well, this isn't good. I go, I guarantee I can take this to someone else who says it is good. So a lot of times I'll watch a Gordon clip and he'll trash something. And I'm like, man, not Gordon's palate, because I do not want to go on record questioning Gordon's palate. Yeah. But sometimes you ever have somebody tell you something's really good and then you taste it and you're like, what? Did you eat the same thing I did? Yeah. So that's my approach to food. And so my end game, I'll be honest with you, my end game was always to show off my cooking. This is probably the 4th iteration of Beau. And a lot of people will tell me, dude, you blew up quick on TikTok. There is a Cooking with Beau YouTube page. There's a Cooking with Beau Instagram. There's a Beau Diddley Tales on Instagram. Man, I was doing YMCA recipes for senior citizens, trying to get that pop off. TikTok just kind of happened. And I think for me, I was talking to my son, it was the fruition of me just to keep going. And I think when you mentioned the Gary Vee approach, man, you just got to like keep going. And I was talking to somebody saying, TikTok is a monopoly board. You may drop a Baltic, you may drop a Park Place, but you never know when somebody will come around to that to that video. Yeah. And I apologize. The last piece of this tangent, which I know will probably piss a couple of, but it's not unpopular opinion. My opinion of TikTok and this whole creator space coming from corporate America is much different. So flashback 7-8 years, I'm sitting in a boardroom. We're buying lead list. We're buying lead list of people of a certain demographic who have kids who like this, who like that. And we paid for those lead lists to call people. Well, TikTok, the algorithm to me is like the evolution of that. You basically say, look, I'm going to make a video about eggs. And TikTok says, let me show this shit to people who like eggs and see if they like it. But it's free. You know what I mean? So TikTok, I guess, feel the pressures that a lot of the, creators feel. And I think cooking for us, because we like cooking so much, like, dude, I can literally see it in your eyes in your video. You know what I mean? You genuinely love what you're doing. I was listening to your podcast with Marco and you were saying, sometimes I forget I'm recording because I'm so into the food. Yeah. And man, at any rate. Yeah, that's a good point, man. That's a really good point. I it's funny because I try to encourage creators, like, don't go for just the viral video. Like I guarantee you, I could, if I wanted to post a viral video today, I could do it. I guarantee you I could post a video today that would spark up comments, that would make people pissed off, get people to engage. But the thing is I've had quite the few viral videos, and I'll be honest, man, I am not a fan. And it goes to show, here's a good thing. Listen, Ryan can cook. I love the guy. We're friends. This is no hate towards him or at all
towards his content. I love it. You know, I don't know if you know Ryan Can't Cook.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. He has great videos.
Well, I don't know him. Just follow him.
So yeah, I know him and his mama. His mama follows me and everything. And the thing is I asked him one day, I was like, dude, because every single video he posts goes mega viral, right? 5, 6,
it does,
7, 8 million views. And it's funny because I look at his analytics and his fan base, and it's like, man, see, this is what I don't want. I want to transition my community into, like, I'm not going to say customers, but I want to say I want a community under me, right? And I notice every time I post a viral video, or every time a video goes viral, I get so many people that I don't want following me, and do you know what I'm saying? Like seriously, and causing chaos, and that's why now I'm like, I am so adamant about just posting content. I don't care how many likes. If it hits 1,000 views, I'm good, man. I'm leaving it.
yeah, same with me. And like, I'll just be honest, man. I'm too much of an asshole to ignore. I've got a limit of stuff I can ignore, and that's my problem. Bro. I'll go through comment and like people. I'm just one guy. He's like, "Oh, dude, just ignore the BS. Ignore the BS." I'm like, I can only go but so long before I start responding, and then that puts me in a different space on TikTok.
Look, Casey Casey and I are like yin and yang. He is ultimate petty. He puts the P in petty.
Clap back clean.
Yeah, and it's funny because like I stopped doing that. Like I was like, dude, I don't have time. Like I feel bad because some of my following actually are genuinely having questions, and I'm like, listen. Like I look at comments for 24 hours and then I'm on to the next, you know what I mean? But Casey will tell you about that. He will, because here's the thing. This is the thing with Casey. He's a professionally trained chef. So anything having to do with food, he is well versed. Some of these people in the comment sections have no idea what they're talking about.
Right.
They just blabbing at the mouth, and they just want to, like, you know, they see a 30-second video and all of a sudden they want to be a comment section chef.
All
you know
Michelin star levels, right?
Yeah. But
that is the main issue with TikTok, bro.
Yeah, Casey will.
So, bunch of little kids.
Yeah, but listen, I think that's okay. And I encourage. I have a couple of young cooks, and quite a bit of young cooks that follow me, and I'm genuinely interested in their success. It makes me a better chef, and and I tell them that. Like, I have a few of them that I message personally, and I say, hey, listen, they ask me for advice, because I'm not gonna lie, to become a chef or to be a chef it's not an easy road, and it's not a fruitful road as far as money. You know what I mean? Like, it's a grind. It's a grind, and it's like, I think a lot of young cooks and young culinarians, they dump all of their money in culinary school, right? And I'm just like, dude, I'm not telling you not to get an education, but culinary school is not worth it in 2021 or 2022.
Yeah, wow. So many people, I have heard that, because for me, coming from the corporate space, I knew, I'm like, man, I should go to culinary school first before I even started my business. And I remember a good friend of mine was like, dude, if you want to throw money out the window, just send it down here. So he's like, man, you know how to cook. And I'm like, yeah, bro, but you've been to school. He's like, dude, the stuff that he was like, the stuff probably 80%. And he made the same comment. He said, culinary school has not evolved. It's the same culinary school it was 20 years ago, but all the different cooking methods, and we have access to YouTube. I mean, I mean, hell, I can go watch your master classes and learn more from that than going to culinary school. So I definitely get it.
Yeah,
that actually makes me feel a little bit better, by the way. Thank you very much.
I mean, listen, I'll keep it real, man. I think it blows my mind that because I'm treating the Chef Authorized as a small business, right? The brand, and that's what I'm gonna continue to grow, but it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. But it blows my mind how when I was 18 years old, I could pull out up to $140,000 in student loans, but I couldn't get a $10,000 business loan.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
18 years old, dog, no credit, zero credit. And I'm able to pull out a student loan for $110,000
with no collateral. All you needed was your name and
I didn't even need a cosigner. And listen, let me tell you something. I think that's fucked up. I think that's fucked up. It is. I think it's, and that's why I have a YouTube video on this, and I'm gonna make another one, because listen, man, I think it's unfair to be 18, 19 years old to come out of culinary school, $60,000 to $70,000 to $80,000 in debt. And the problem is I've seen a lot of good cooks that have just couldn't work and work a cook's pay, right? Couldn't Can't be at the bottom. Can't be at the bottom level. You can't do that when you're paying for a freaking BMW student loan.
Right.
Listen, bro, I'm 36 years old right now. I'm still paying culinary school. Right, I'm still paying $300 a month or whatever. And listen, and it's kind of messed up. And I don't want to go on a tangent on school because I'm not trying to tell. And I want to make this very, very clear. It depends. It's very specific to your situation, right? So if you can go to a tech school that's less than $5,000, do it, right? Like if you could, it has to be reasonable. It has to be reasonable. Like if if your parents are going to pay for your schooling, wonderful, great. As long as there's no strings attached, I would do it. But at the same time, like if you're ex-military or whatever the case may be, then it might be a good idea. It depends on your certain situation. But if you're somebody like me that, back then, when I was growing up in the industry, it was from 2003 to 2005, it made sense for me to get my culinary degree. And I went for culinary and also baking and pastry. Right. So I went with the double associates, which was ideal for me, but I wouldn't say the same nowadays. Casey, what's your point of view? What's your point of view on that? I feel like I'll just keep talking.
No. You're good. I'm a school of hard knocks. I did not go to school. I went to we've been talking about this because I went to a kitchen, and this is full disclosure. I didn't have papers before, right? So I was what was known the permanent kitchen manager. I could not get any higher than that. I was always under the table. That's why staging for me worked efficiently because it was for free anyway. So I went to Michelin restaurants in the city, but I did that for so long. And then when I finally got the papers, I'm like, fuck it. I'm going gung ho. I'm going for exec. And I was corporate, and I never went to school. I just kept training. I'm going to go to this restaurant next. I'm going to learn how to do this. And that's what I did. And it worked fine. I got paid for it. I didn't have to go to school for it. And plus I didn't have it was 2002. I graduated. Fucking culinary school was like $70,000 for CIA. Yeah. And in a city, I'm just crazy. A year. I'm like, no. Don't got time for that. Not doing it.
And you know what's crazy is thankful. Okay, so I'm not going to say all culinary school is bad, but what I am going to say is thankfully at that time I was actually purchasing a house. I was 19, right? And I was making a decision on culinary school, right? My mother is a mortgage broker, so she was like, "Listen, you want to purchase a house and then you can flip it, pay off your student loans. That's a good idea." I'm like, "Okay, great." But so I kind of knew the only thing I knew about finances was, obviously because my parents were encouraging me to go to culinary school, right? But they didn't want to pay for it, but they were telling me to go to culinary school, right? Yeah. But the thing is I knew I couldn't afford Johnson & Wales. I knew I couldn't afford CIA. I'm like, it's too expensive. My brother went to the Art Institute, right? He's also a chef. We're twins. He went to the Art Institute, and he had, his was double the price of mine, right? Double the price. And it's funny because I am just so grateful that I had the mental fortitude to be able to know that, okay, I can't afford this. Because I was like, hey, I was asking the financial advisor because everybody at the school was like, oh, it's okay. Don't worry. You can defer them. You can get a forbearance. You can pay them off later. But what they don't tell you is you also need to work as a line cook for fucking 6 years before you get to a sous chef level. You know what I'm saying? And then when you're at sous chef level, you're at the base salary sous chef level, especially if you're in a good establishment. And, it takes years to get to I don't want to say an exec level, but I want to say to a salary that is actually feasible. It's a living wage. You know what I mean? And hopefully that is changing. I'm praying to God that the industry is kind of changing because, it's not looking good for the future, especially with all this COVID stuff, but
yeah, I mean, I think it has to. And I mean, I think the entrepreneurial space has kind of jump started it across all spaces. I mean, you have, a guy like me who can go get a food truck and can market on social media and boom. But I think, back in, 20 years ago, the paths were classic, as they say. Go to school, get the paper, follow the path. And I think I don't know if it was our generation or the generation before us who kind of said, well, let's work smarter, not harder. Yeah. You know what I mean? So,
you know what, that's a good, it's so funny you say that about the food truck. Cause I had this dream. It was really weird. Actually, I had this barbecue food truck. Right. And deep down inside, I have a really deep passion for smoked food,
my man,
but barbecue, you know what I mean? Yeah. Real barbecue, offset smoker barbecue. Oh, we should get into that. But
yes, please. I want to attack your pellet customers, your pellet people.
Yeah. And, it's so funny. You know what? That's a great point. I'm gonna play devil's avocado. So So it's funny because I don't understand why people get so bent out of shape between stick burning and pellet, right? I think it's two different things. Tell me if I'm wrong here, right? Like I'm gonna say it's like this. People get so upset because they see me cook with an offset smoker, right? And I'm like, listen, this just because I worked in a restaurant that had live fire, and I know the taste difference, right? I know if it came off of a Traeger or if it came off of a stick burner.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So that's it. And so when I was originally in Ohio and moved to Texas. When I was in Ohio, I thought I knew barbecue, and then I came to Texas. The first smoker I bought was a vertical, like, the Home Depot. It's $140. It's the offset box to the right, and there is a wood guy around the corner from me. So fresh chopped wood, and it was a lot of me learning how to maintain temperature fluctuations, blah, 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 keep it at 275, air control, knowing where to put the vent on the top, bottom, and all of this that in between. Well, then these pellet grills come out, right? Yeah. And so to me, I am big on the art of things.
Yes.
If you get what I'm saying. And so I personally feel like, and I said this when I did that prime rib Christmas, I want to do that with lump charcoal and actual apple wood. And the other thing, I have chef friends of mine with, I just got this pellet smoker, and I'm like, okay, well, what's your setup? And I'll look on the video, and they have 3 smoke boxes in the damn thing trying to duplicate that smoke. And I can taste the difference. You know what I mean? Yeah. I've even smoked meat with no seasoning as a control and then tasted it on the pellet. It is night and day. And to me, it is. I don't know if I would ever buy a pellet grill and sacrifice the taste. And listen, I am not sponsored by Masterbuilt at all. Let me say that. But they have the Masterbuilt 1050. Check this out, dude. It's the same thing as like the Traeger, but it uses actual wood, and that's what I use. So I can do a 12-hour smoke using charcoal, lump wood, etc. And also look on the bag of the pellets and look at the ingredients. I mean, it's the same argument I make about, pasture eggs compared to cage free and all that different type of stuff. So I just think the smoking, the essence of like old school smoking, if you really want to get into it, I don't know if you can hit it on a Traeger. And I just don't know, man.
100%. You know what? I agree with you 100%. So here's my point of view, my chef point of view. For me, it's funny because like I get this question all the time. Do you use gas? Do you use electric? Gas or induction? And for me, it's funny because it's like, no, I prefer gas, but guess what? I use induction all day because that's what I have at my house. I lease this motherfucker, right? I'm not going to switch out the stove to get gas just because that's what I want. No, I got small kids, whatever. And it's funny because I think the same thing with offset smoker, like stick burning and pellet. Like for me, I don't care what you do at your house in your backyard, but if you want to open a barbecue restaurant and say you are authentic barbecue,
you are not lining up Traegers.
Exactly. Please, for the love of God, don't do that to yourself, because there are some people, like I've had some conversations with people that are really deep into barbecue. So I don't know if you know, but there's a chef out here. His name's Matt Horn. It's called a Horn Barbecue in Oakland, and you should look him up, man. His barbecue is great. And, but anyway, it's funny because like, I will be honest, convenience is king. So the thing is 100%. The fact that you can set it and forget it with these Traeger grills and these pellet smokers, it's an advantage. And it's like, so for me in my head, it's like, I would love to have both, but I'll be honest. I prefer the stick burner because that's what I know. And that's what I feel good about. And that's what I know is going to taste better. But I can agree. I can definitely sympathize with people that do not want to manage that fire, because
it's a pain in the ass.
I will argue that listen, especially on the small ones. I just have an Oklahoma Joe that I just put some gaskets on. I've sealed it up really nice. Changed the inside a little bit, but only because I didn't want to spend $1,000 on a different smoker. Well, I'll be honest. My wife was like, nah, bro, you better fucking chill out. You got too much shit. She's like, you're gonna use it once a month. I was like, yeah, you're right. But it's funny because, I'm 100% like people ask me all the time, like, but I don't think they're the same thing, right? Like I don't, You're not going to tell me that, like, if you're a catering company that focuses on like mass catering, like let's say if you're or let's say if it's a restaurant, right? And but it's not a barbecue restaurant. Let's say it's like let's say BJ's, right? Say BJ's wants to put a smoked chicken on the menu, and they're using a pellet grill for consistency, but they're not claiming authentic barbecue. Like, listen, I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to be mad at them. Like, I understand. Like, you need consistency, and I think that's what the problem is when people are claiming to do like, real authentic barbecue, but they're using a pellet smoker. Like, dude, you're asking for fucking trouble. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is the problem. And it's like, but honestly, do whatever you want in your own backyard. Like, I'm not going to critique anybody on how they want to cook in their own backyard, but I totally understand where like some of the true barbecue people, like, really, like, especially in Texas, man. Texas is crazy.
Man, it's brutal.
If you ain't using post oak, oh my God. Because it's funny because I live in California. So in California, almond wood is what I prefer to use. And there's a few reasons. One, because of the high smoke point, and two, because I like the clean barbecue flavor. Whereas post oak, hickory, mesquite, I will do, if I'm doing beef, I'll add a couple chunks in there. But, when I worked at Saison and SF, so this is a 3 Michelin star restaurant, and we did a taste comparison, right? So we used live fire, not a smoker, but live fire. We also had a smoker, and we burnt several different types of wood, right? We were trying to figure out, okay, what's the best? But we realized that almond wood was, okay, any fruit wood. So whether it's like peach or nut wood, pecan, apple. Yeah, it was really good, but almond burned the cleanest and left the cleanest flavor. But I really like to use that as my primary fuel, and then I'll switch to I'll throw in a couple chips of mesquite, or I'm sorry, not chips, but like 2-inch blocks.
The chunks.
Yeah, and it's funny because like it's amazing how you can one, develop that really deep barbecue flavor. You know what I'm saying? Like, I smoked a Wagyu brisket, and I was so amazed at how it came out with just like, and it wasn't like, I don't like acrid smoke. I don't like that white, like, when somebody's like barbecue something and it's too smoky. Like, it's just like you use too smoky.
It's almost bitter.
Yeah, you want to spit it out. And it's like, and it's funny because like, I didn't know what real barbecue was either until I just went down the rabbit hole. Like, once I commit to something, I go all in. And I think I really do have a passion for it. But that leads me back to my original thing. When you're talking about the food truck, I was thinking about that. Like, what if you had, on Saturday, you smoked everything, right? And then Sunday, you just roll around with the smoker on the trailer, and you just sell it straight out of the fucking smoker. You have a box that's like a warm box, like literally like no fuss. You have pickled like fresh pickled California vegetables. You know what I'm saying? And you have your meats, and you just sell it by the pound, right? Got a scale right there. You just sell it by the pound. You make your own barbecue sauce. There's something to say about that, right? Like, then like, just like, I don't know, like, I have a recipe for barbecue sauce on way deep down on my page, and I made like a sugar-free one. But throughout that process, I realized like there are so many different types of sauces depending on.
Oh man,
it gets really deep, and I'm a big fan of the Carolina Gold sauce. Like, dude, it's crazy, man. It's so good. So good, man.
The food truck. Funny story about a food truck. So my wife is like, hey, there's funnel cakes up at the park. So, we go to this food truck. It's a basic funnel cake. I mean, the Hershey, I saw the Hershey syrup. I saw, confection sugar, regular batter. So I'm looking at my debit. I'm like, man, what the hell did I spend $62 on? So like, I'm like, hey, what's this one? $62, literally, man, $60 on funnel cakes. But I didn't pay for the funnel cake. What I paid for was the ability to walk out of my house, walk down the street, not have to put a mask on. The dudes were super chill. I felt like I was supporting a small business. It gave me a warm and fuzzy. It was right there. I felt like I was that's really what you pay for with a food truck. And I think with COVID, Omicron, whatever the hell is going on right now, I think we're going to kind of get back into, people ask me all the time, when do you think it's going to get back to normal? I think we're kind of developing what the new norm is. And I think more of the, people like who want authentic cooking. But I'll be honest with you, because, my youngest son, he's got respiratory issues. So like when we decide if we're going to go out to dinner, man, that is in the back of my mind. Like, hey,
Yeah, of course.
this could be the time we sit down at a damn restaurant and I catch a gust of wind and then go home. So
yeah,
with the ability to, I mean, think about a food truck. It's open, you know what I mean? So not to put some divine intervention on your dream there, sir. But
yeah, no. I don't think I just had this dream. I thought it'd be really dope, or like selling backyard barbecue, like out of my house. But the problem is I developed too much, like it's really smoky, man. Like, cause my backyard's not that open. Yeah, I live in Silicon Valley. So it's like, I have a small little piece of real estate. It's not like enough to, it's funny because I have a cord of wood just sitting in my front patio. It's crazy. Like instead of buying wood from the grocery store, I went to somebody who actually sells wood. You know what I mean?
oh,
And I just bought a quarter of a cord. Like it was, he's like, what do you do with all this? I was like, oh, don't worry. I just like to barbecue a little bit. He's like, do you have a restaurant or do you? And I'm like, nah, it's okay. Just put it right here. Like, dude, literally
98 pounds of brisket I got to cook.
Yeah. It's funny, but like, yeah, but I love the aspect of like that low, slow. I just love it, man. I love barbecue. I feel like, and tell me if you agree with this. I feel like the one thing that America has is
barbecue.
Facts.
That's what we
like
do.
Facts.
I don't care what anybody says. Like, I am proud to be an American. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, my nationality is half black, half white. And both of my parents are American. But like, I feel like just with other ethnic cuisines and like, whether it is, I love everything. But like the true one thing that America has is Cajun cuisine and barbecue, like real barbecue, not like hamburgers and hot dogs. I'm talking like real low, slow barbecue.
Yeah, that's what I thought when I was in Ohio, it was, kind of like pork ribs. They were baby back. I didn't even know what a spare rib was. Jesus. And so, and then I come down and I think we went to go and I get this rib. I'm like, man, this is a pretty big rib. And then it's just this rabbit hole of the different ribs and the cooking methods. And what I love about it's so intimate. Christmas Day, like, so I, did a prime rib. I could have put it in the oven, but I will tell you, getting up at 9:00, you start the fire and then, I am cheating with the meter. And then I literally went back out there every 35, 45 minutes to an hour to your point before, in a setting like that, when I brought that thing in and the kids come around, the wife comes around and you slice it wall to wall pink, you know what I mean? It's just, to me, that was worth the however long I took to do it. And it's a different process when you're smoking meat. It just is.
Hell yeah. So what do you have? You said you had the master built?
Yeah, so I've got a master built 1050. I have don't ask me why. About a year ago, I just went and bought an old school 22-inch Weber, like the thing my dad cooked on. And then I have my vertical offset and then a griddle. But the master built 1050, that's the workhorse. Even for the business, we do promote grilled chicken. None of our chicken is done in the oven. So I actually do all the chicken on that grill. So it handles a pretty decent amount. But ironically enough, I've been using this Weber. Like I'm talking old school with the chimney, balling up some newspaper to light it, just trying to get back into the essence of, barbecue or whatever. I will say this, the older I get, I probably will do some type of pellet, for burgers or hot dogs, but I'm so far gone into low and slow with authentic lump charcoal. I just probably won't go back, but that's my house.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Do whatever the fuck you want.
Man, you can pellet, rec tech, whatever you want to do at your house. But for me, I need that low and slow, man. And probably what did it is the culture shock of going from Ohio to Texas.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh shit, this is barbecue. So
yeah. So I mean, it's funny because here's a good example. Is I'll use Joe Rogan as an example. He's like, listen, if my time is so limited, like if it's 4:00 and I got to make dinner for me and wife and the kids, but I want smoked elk, like I'm not going to take the time to light a fire. I'm just going to throw it in the Traeger. The Traeger, I can set it. You could start it with your phone, and I'm like, you know what? I agree with that. And like, there's going to be a day where I'm probably going to have some sort of pellet smoker in my crib because, I think it's cool to use a lot of different equipment to try new things, right? Like I can sit here and trash pellet smokers, but the reason I don't is because I never used one, right? That's the real reason. I never used one. That's the bottom line. I never used one, man. I can't sit here and say I've tasted food off of one, but I haven't used one myself. So that's why I think it's really important to keep in mind what people do at their own house or whatever they post on TikTok. That's up to them. But people ask me all the time. I thought it was funny. Hey, but I wanted to ask. Okay, I had this conversation with the troll on YouTube, but I've cooked a lot of baby back ribs in my life, and the thing is, and you can, and trust me, I don't judge, because you can eat your ribs however you want, but I prefer the spare rib off the pork, low and slow, tender, fall off the bone. But for baby back ribs, the loin ribs, I like them with some bite. I think when they fall off the bone, I think they're too dry, and I think the texture. Yeah. I think the meat is. I think like, and I'm gonna be honest. I think it's so much better if you consider it, like, quote unquote, because I'm not telling anybody how to cook. Consider it more of like a pork loin, because that's what it's attached to, right? So like for me, I don't eat a pork loin well done. I like eating pork medium, mid rare, kind of. But for the baby back ribs, I like it with a little bite, right? So when you go to take a bite out of it, like, you have to kind of pull it off the rib a little bit.
But the bone's clean.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So I agree 100%. I'm that way with all ribs now. I do not. So like. Okay. I have shout to your McRib video. So like for years, the joke amongst my crew is, I think the McRib is trash. It's just in my head. Every time it drops, they go in the group chat and they're like, and I'm like, guys, it's pig parts. Like, if you want a chitlin rib, go right ahead and eat it. But at the end of the day, so at any rate, with ribs, the only time I do fall off the bone is if I'm making that sandwich. If I do spare, I always think there should be a little tug and that bone should be clear. If you can just snatch the bone right out, I think they're overcooked. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, me too. I agree with that. Now, listen, that's not to say it's not good. It's just different.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. So it's like,
again, personal preference.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, preference. Exactly.
What about you, Casey? Casey likes it. He likes chewing like a bear.
I mean, I like raw shit. So if you can give that to me rare, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? But that's just, I grew up, I'm Asian though. So like we toss this shit on the wok, call it a day. You know what I'm saying? Like, as soon as you get a little color on it, that's fine. That's our form of barbecue in Asian cuisine. And I'm completely fine with it. I don't like when things fall off too much, because I want to work for it. But that's how I was brought up. So, that's
a great point. So I'll tell you where my perception changed. And that was, I ate at this Chinese restaurant in San Francisco, and Sichuan cooking. And basically they have raw ribs that they're, so basically the ribs are like, the bones are like this. They cut them this way. So they're 1-inch pieces of barbecue ribs. And it's a quick stir fry. It's a Sichuan chili dish. And it's like, and I got to admit, I'm picking up this little piece of bone and I'm pulling off the meat. And it was so tender and delicious. And I'm like, this is baby back rib? And then they were like, yeah. And I'm like, but you cook these from raw. And the chef was like, yeah. He's like, yeah. Only you Americans eat your pork.
Yeah, exactly.
Completely murdered and braised down. Like, and I'm like, you know what? You're right. And so what my mindset changed is work on getting a better quality pork rib. Right. And so it's true. Like, if you go to Neiman Ranch, or if you go to Snake River Farms, if there's purveyors out there that just create a better pork product. And I have to admit, it's funny because I made a barbecue rib video a while back. And it's funny because like, I will get enough smoke where I feel they're not too smoky, and then I'll wrap them real quick. But I've also cooked barbecue ribs, baby backs all the way through 300, all the way through, or 275, all the way through. But what I really like is that first hour and a half, you develop the smoke, get the smoke ring, but then wrap them. So then they stay moist. And then I cook them where, like, you'll see it in the video where I take a bite out of it. You can hear like me pulling it off, taking a bite, pulling it off. And they were so delicious. But I have to be honest, for my kids, it's different. I'm gonna cut them, and then I'm gonna put them back in the oven. Toss them in a little more sauce so they can enjoy it. But I just thought that's crazy because just as I know, Beau, there's so many nuances to barbecue, and everybody has their own spin. And like, I try to be respectful, but I am not cooking for TikTok chefs anymore. I'm cooking how I want to cook. Really, hey, and it's funny because like I feel bad because like some people that come in the comments, whether it's on Casey's video, I saw a comment that Casey responded to, like. It's so funny because he has this shit-eating grin. He's responding to this. He has this comment pinned and he's responding to it. And it's funny because he already knew that he won that conversation. Like, there's no debate. Like, once you spurt out the hate, and if you're wrong, dude, you're wrong. Like,
it's a wrap.
Just admit it. Like, in case you do, because like you could tell the difference between like chefs and cooks. And I feel bad because I know some of these young kids, they just don't know. And I really want to help educate them, but I just can't. I can't respond to every comment all the time. Like KCB, you know, he be leaning into the negativity. He loves it.
The clapback king himself.
I really love it.
So I want to ask you a little bit more about your meal prep company. And is that your only business, or do you have multiple businesses?
No, that's my baby, man. So that started November 2018. We are out of NutriShop Fort Worth, and actually will start a second location in the new year in South Lake Colleyville. So that's my thing.
That's awesome. That is great. And you know what? I'm going to be there right there with you soon. What question? How many meals do you do a week? Do you do it twice a week? Do you do one big push, or is it constantly? You just constantly.
So delivery days are Sundays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, and then we also sell individual meals in shop. So Proper Prep has the Proper Prep was really birthed out of my weight loss journey, right? And so we have a focus in the bodybuilding community. So we focus on bodybuilders. So a lot of our stuff is bulk. What happened with the pandemic is I had to transition into what I call the mom car riders, the first responders, et cetera. So, the recipes had to expand. For the longest time, man, I was doing basic stuff, chicken by the pound, 93.7 lean ground beef by the pound, ground turkey by the pound, et cetera. So we have a couple athletes now that use our meal prep service exclusively. So between the athlete base, the meals sold in NutriShop, and then you can go online and order in bulk, and then we have a couple meal plans, et cetera. That's pretty much what Proper Prep has evolved to over the years.
That's amazing. How many people do you have working for you? Is it just solo?
Oh, less than 10.
Okay.
It kind of depends. Cool. Nice. I'll be honest with you. The true answer is it depends on the month and what's going on. You know what I mean? Yeah. You go from, there's been times it's been just me, and then times you've had to, do what you got to do. So I say it all the time. I started and survived a pandemic, and I'm still here. So, that's a blessing to me.
So for me, it was funny because I did packed meals in Los Angeles. And are you nationally yet? Have you been able to ship nationally yet? Or
no, man. So if you want to have the no dry ice conversation, we can. But I'll be honest with you, when I did some tests, I'm not shipping yet.
It's rough, but
and it's expensive. Like what the hell? Yeah, but go ahead.
But it's funny you say that because it's by the pound. So but what I will say is once you're able to go nationally, that's when your shit's going to blow the fuck up. It's going to blow up. Like, dude. So the thing is what happened with me is it just got too big. Like I couldn't handle it by myself. And even when I tried to hire someone, because I was working full time as a chef, and then I started doing it on my 2 days off. So one day I would source everything. The next day I would prep and then deliver. I had my babysitting deliver. And I mean, I was doing, upwards to 200 meals a week, right? Securing the bag. Son. The thing is, the difference between I was getting my ingredients wholesale and also top of the line, right? Like farmers
your
market.
Access. Yeah.
And so I was able to leverage that. And then plus I also marketed it as chef curated meals. And the thing is it's such a good business idea, but you have to put so much into it, right? Like with all the supplies and all everything. And it's crazy because my brother is actually, he did a way better job than me. And he's you can look it up. It's called Stacked Meals, and we're partners on that. But he's just getting it going. But what I was going to say is do you sponsor athletes? Do you provide their meals they post on social media?
Yeah. So if you go to properprepkeller.com and click on the proper athletes, those are all of our sponsored athletes. So the deals, nice. I've learned a thing or two about sponsoring athletes. Originally it was, dude, you're going to wear my shirt at your deadlift competition. Sure. Go for it. So now a lot of my deals are, they're sales based, they're there's tiered discounts. You know what I mean? You get 10% off and you get a free t-shirt and maybe 3 pounds of food, if so, and it's almost like an affiliate program. So they all get a unique code, and based on how many sales you drive in, you could get 30% off, 50% off, or even free, but it's got to make sense for me, in the long run. So, but right now what we're noticing is, and I'll be honest with you, the new year, new me crowd every year. So right now that's our focus. So we're talking to we're doing a lot of pop-ups at the Nutri shops. So we're kind of going to focus. It's not bodybuilding season down here now. So now we're doing the whole, new year, new me thing. And then, the shows have been hit or miss. So I've had, a guy's been in prep for 7 weeks and then the damn show gets canceled. So
yeah. Dude, that's amazing, man. And what I would recommend, and you're going to actually like this, is go to a CrossFit box, go to a CrossFit gym, and go to a CrossFit gym, and you should ask, and this is just some advice. You should just talk to the ownership and ask them if you can put a fridge in there. Right. And then that you can have the athletes pick up once a week. Listen, man, that freaking boomed for me. Like when I went down to Equinox in downtown Los Angeles. And what I realized,
the Mecca.
Yeah. And listen, and it was crazy because one of the food runners that I was working with was like, "Hey chef, I want to get some of your meals. I saw your Instagram, blah, blah, blah." I'm like, "Okay, cool. Here it is, right? You get 5 for X amount of dollars, 10 for X amount of dollars." And I'm like, "But it's limited. So, I cook this amount and that's it for the week, right? So you got to get your order in." And it was funny because he was talking to his personal trainer. Just to make the long story short, I linked up with his personal trainer and I was like, "Listen, how about this? Why don't I just give you a week's worth of meals? You tell me if you like them and then we can work out a deal." Listen, man, his personal trainer, I didn't know, had like 34 clients. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And dog, we're talking, and literally 60% of them hit me up, right? And it was crazy because I'm talking week after week. It was just dude, I was getting buried. It was amazing because it was just so much it was awesome. But yeah, I'm really, that's going to be a part of my portfolio a little bit down the road. But it's just really hard here in right now because I just don't have time, man, with content creation and it's a lot. And I'm sure you know that.
Yeah, man, a lot of, and for me, because the company before that in Cleveland was Media by Easy. That I have a background in production. That's actually the first company I had. So for me,
that's why your videos are so crispy.
Yeah. So the other thing is from a business perspective, I am super, super cheap. If I don't have to, so I will cook the food, shoot the video, edit the video, master the audio, chop it up, post it, everything else. So when you're doing the meal prep thing, I'm trying to do the Facebook ads, do the Instagram ads, go source the food, sliding the butcher at Sam's Club $20 so he can keep the higher rounds before they sell out, literally trying to, and to your point, and all the while trying to raise 4 kids. And that's that's the thing that I think a lot of content consumers don't appreciate is that 100%. Your content creators is not single with a bunch of money in the bank who wakes up at 8 o'clock and goes, "Let me just make TikToks today." Yeah. There's been a lot of times I've come off a, 6-7 hour cook. And then because I didn't want to hire a driver, I went and did the deliveries, came back, and I'm like, well, I got to keep the algorithm happy. So let me post a TikTok video. And and then after you shoot the video, you got to go chop it up and you got to edit it. You know what I mean? So it's definitely a grind. It's definitely absolutely a grind.
That's why I try to tell people, I have so much respect for anybody who's creating content because I know what it's like, and you know what it's like, Casey, you know what it's like. And I'll be honest, I audited my workflow, and it's so funny because what bogs me down first of all, let me put this out there. I'm not a videographer. I'm not a cinematographer. I don't claim to be, but a lot of people always ask me, "Hey, what camera to use? What lens to use?" And I'm like, "Listen, do not talk to me about that. I am not a professional." And I'm like, I think editors are underrated. I think people that are in, videography or cinematography, I think it's underrated. I think they're underrated. But anyway, what I was saying is I audited my whole workflow, right? And, it was taking me 4 to 6 hours for a TikTok, right, to edit. And you know what I'm saying? And I was into it. I was into color grading and audio and all this stuff. But I got to be honest. I'm like, you know what? I don't enjoy that part. That's not something I enjoy. So I outsource my editing now. And And let me tell you something. I am able to create so much more content, right? Outsourcing being able to just copy the link to the Google Drive and send that shit off. Oh, like this. And it's amazing. I mean, it's expensive. Don't get me wrong. I pay $600 a month, but it's so worth it for me because I'm able to do so many more things. Right.
Yeah. And you know what? So, and I say this all the time, and I think I preach all the time. I think time is really the only true currency anywhere.
Yeah.
And so, you spend $600, man, but the time that you have is probably not, it's just a fraction of the cost. And especially with me having, I don't know how old your kids are, but with me having adult children and the corporate trips, I mean, dude, I'm talking red eye to San Diego, landed in Dallas at 6 a.m., opened the call center at 8 a.m., then had to go show a client at 6 that night, got home and kissed the kids while they were asleep. So it's, and in hindsight, you look back and you go, you're making decent money, but for what? Like, what did I lose? And so, especially now, like with the TikTok thing and, it's the dad joke is kind of my tap to my kids. I get more excited because now it's to the point where their friends were like, dude, your dad showed up on my FYP. And so like to see their face where they're like, man, Stacy said that she liked the ribeye video or whatever. To me, those are the things that truly have value.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, so I definitely get it. The editing for me, what's funny is the editing is easier for me than the cooking. Believe it or like when I'm done cooking, I'm like, I'm a woo-saw. I can go in the office, I can put some jazz on and I can edit, but I'm as comfortable with editing as you probably are with cooking.
Yeah, it's funny because Marco and I talked about that. Philip and I talked about that. I am so comfortable with the cooking. Like my workflow, I'll shoot like five to six TikToks in one shoot. It'll take me like 2 to 4 hours to shoot. But the cooking, the organization, get everything lined up, all the mise en place ready, clockwork. Shooting the shot, getting the ISO dialed in, the aperture, making sure the lighting's right. Shit, man, because sometimes I get so engulfed in the cooking where now it's kind of like quantity over quality for me. Like with TikTok and Instagram, you can kind of get away with the quality, but like I'll notice and I'll just note it for next time. But that's just super funny. So let me ask you one more thing. And Casey, I don't know if you have any questions. I feel like I've been talking a lot, but
no, you're good. Joe. Keep going.
Sponsorship post ads. Have you been reached out to from ads yet?
Yeah. So funny you should mention that. Magical Butter did an aggressive, I mean, they came for me. I will say that. And so they ended up sending like their infuse machine. And the first video I did, I said, look, from a business perspective, you have to understand what TikTok is. They're very big on community guidelines. And they're like, well, Delta 8 is legal in Texas and you're in Texas, so you should infuse some butter with Delta 8 marijuana. And I'm like, I get what you're saying, but if you look at my feed, I don't swear, right? If you look at my feed, there's things I do intentionally because let's just be honest, man. I wanted to be an African-American guy that was not swearing, that spoke intelligently, that knew what the fuck he was talking about, was kind of cool, not too corny, but you could bump into him, kind of chill vibe, but super clean. And that is what I wanted my TikTok to be. So at any rate, so, they're like, do it how you would do it. So the first video I did exactly that. I infused butter, but I made brioche. I just took like brioche bread, toasted it, put some parsley on it, dipped it in the bit, and they loved it. Like the Magical Butter, the guy who runs Magical Butter reached out and said he wanted to do a second campaign. So I did infused oil. TikTok removed it simply because they wanted to show the green oil being poured in. So that was a little bit of a bummer because that video did like 9K. I think it's like the first hour, which for me, chef, that's pretty good.
That's amazing. That's
so,
really good.
That's been good. And I'll be honest with you, man. And this is also an unpopular opinion. I don't think content creators' value is appropriate. When you look at some of these, like I've gotten a lot of offers. They're like $100, $200. And I'm like, wait a minute, but what happens if I go viral? So what I'm actually working on is I am rewriting kind of the contract to be view-based. Don't pay me anything up front. But if I hit 10K, this is what I need. If I hit 20K, this is what I need. Or have it be view-based. Well, look, I can do one video. If I get you 50K views, cool. But if I do 6 videos, I'll get you 50K view. Cool. Yeah.
You know what I like? Tell me you might not. But there's so many different. This is a great conversation. And Casey, I'm telling you, this is good for you too as well. Because the thing is it's always tricky, and I like to be transparent. And I'll be honest, I leave so much money on the table with how many sponsorship deals I get. Like it, and I'm going to start doing more because I need to offset the cost of the camera equipment. Don't tell my wife, but because I think it's always good to increase your quality each quarter, or at least do something to increase the quality of your content. Because there's a few things that I realized with working with a lot of brands, just on sponsorship deals. I only want the big brands, to be honest. I'm not wasting time if it's under $500, dude. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not even gonna. That you're not like. I don't want to push your Amazon product, but as a chef, with a family and with my page, a lot of people are genuinely interested. So I really love the fact that you keep your content clean, because that's gonna help you out in the long run. Because here's the thing, like, and I just had this conversation with Hood Meals. You know Hood Meals?
Yeah,
dude. Hey, my man, he just followed me, bro. He just followed me, and I was like, yo, Hood Meals, I love it, dog. Hey, what's up? I love his content, but dude, if he can't like. The problem is he has 5.6 million followers on TikTok, and he has more than 500,000 on Instagram. Guess how many sponsorship posts you see?
None.
0.
You got to be marketable.
He doesn't. He don't even. They don't. He didn't even get the air fryer for free, man. Come on. You know how, dude? Every week somebody's trying to send me a fucking air fryer. Every week, Ninja, the Chinese company. Dude, I'm telling you. But I don't want that. I want Breville. I want Breville to sponsor me. I got a Breville back there. But anyway, let me get back off my tangent. I want to be transparent about content creation, because this is a new market, and I'm going to give you a couple examples, and we should all talk about this, right? So my fee for a 60-second TikTok is $2K, right? That's my fee for a 60-second TikTok. And I'll tell you what, a lot of people deny it. Some people are cool with it, but I think it's always good to share, because it's not my main source of income. But the thing is like, I know there's a lot of creators out here that are just doing videos in exchange for free product. Stop doing that. Stop doing that. Whoever's out there, do not do videos in exchange for free products. Okay. You're worth more than that. And also keep your content clean. If this is going to be your main source of income, big companies don't want to see cursing. They don't want to see, sexual things. Right. Also, I will say that know what you want. No, like, okay, so know your community and what your community is going to want. Getting back to my original point, I think where my value is going to come in is actually creating the video for the brand, not putting it on my page, saying, hey, let me create a TikTok video for you.
Gotcha.
Do you see what I'm saying? So like, Granda and I did the same thing. I use Granda, the app, I'm a yearly subscriber. I love the app. Dude, one of the app creators reached out to me. He's like, hey, I'd love to partner with you, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know what? Let me just shoot you a video. I'll shoot you a testimonial. You tell me how you like it. And then we can go from there. How about that? And it's funny because that's the brand that I want to do. I actually believe in that product, but I shot him a commercial, and there's a lot of work that goes into it. And I outsource my editing. And so also I shoot in 4K, it takes time, right? But it's funny because from that, it spiraled into 3 more brand deals. Do you know what I'm saying? Gotcha. So there's other brands that are looking at my page. They see that video and they're like, wow, this is what we want. Right. And I'll be honest, I have tiers with my content creation too, where like, if I'll ask a sponsor like, hey, this is my fee. Here's my thing. If you want it shot on a mirrorless camera and edited professionally, here's the fee. If you want me to do a selfie video on my iPhone, here's the fee, right? Give them the option. Gotcha. Because here's the thing with TikTok and Instagram, you can get away with the low quality. It's fine. Like, it just depends on what the brand wants. Now, I will argue that I think if your video skills are good, you can make a lot more money creating videos for brands, because they don't want to do it. They don't want to post their TikToks. They want somebody else to do it. A good friend of mine just signed a deal for almost 100K for 2022, almost 100K for 20 TikToks, 20 TikTok videos. And wow. I'm not gonna mention his name, but I was like, dude, congratulations. Like,
no, that's huge. That's huge.
That's what's up.
Huge.
But his video editing and production is beautiful, and it's a big brand.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah, man. That's it. You know, my issue is, and I will, you know, kind of give some clarity to my other statement. You know, I have not been completely zen at peace with TikTok performance. You know, because I consume a lot of content too, and I know I don't have, you know, the best content, but I'm looking at, you know, you look at other content and you compare. And
don't judge yourself. Your content is very good, bro. Don't
Cool,
fucking
cool.
judge
Thank you.
yourself,
Fire,
man.
man.
Listen, it's very good. It's nice and crispy. The lighting is really good. It's really good, man. I appreciate that because I know what it takes to create a video like that. It's not easy. It's not as easy as just pushing a record button on your iPhone and then turn it around and just posting within the app.
Right.
When you take the extra step to film on a legit camera and actually edit it and put it up, you're creating. This is what you're setting a standard for yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yep.
Not to okay, but here's the thing. I'll also play devil's avocado here. I don't know if you know Albert Can Cook. Albert Can Cook. He has great dude. Listen, he just upgraded, literally a couple
You're
years ago.
kidding.
Swear to God. I swear to God.
All those videos were on a phone?
I swear to God.
You gotta be shitting me.
I swear to you, my guy. I swear. We did a collab. I come over. I got my Sony A7 III. Right. I'm like, yeah, boy. Yeah, dog. Hey, I got my laptop. You know, I'm like, I got all the food, and I was like, hey, so Albert, I wanted to ask, what are you shooting with, man? He's like, what do you mean? What am I shooting with? And I'm like, what do you film with? And then his wife picks up her little pink
phone.
Yeah, and that's what he shoots with. But he just recently upgraded. So his the newest video with the pomegranate that he shot is it was the camera. But he shot and edited in iMovie. And Marco and I, Woodfire Whiskey, were completely blown away.
As a Final Cut user, to hear he's chopping in iMovie, I almost fell out of my chair. So yeah,
dog, I know. Isn't that crazy?
Now I have so much more respect for his content because he's doing it. Yeah. So
yeah, and it's funny because he's but the thing is he has a little advantage. So he's a software engineer, right, here in Tech City, right? Like he is a software engineer, so he knows how to get the engagement, he knows all how these apps work, and he has the upper hand in that. But his videos are great, man, and I'm so glad that he's popping off now.
Cool.
Hey, sorry, I know we're running out of time, Casey, but you have any questions? I feel like I'm just like freaking blabbing on here.
No, you're good. My only question, I've been around the country, tried plenty of barbecue. The best barbecue I've ever had is La Barbecue in Austin, Texas. I just want your input, Beau. What is your favorite place or barbecue that you consume over there in the Texas
That's
area?
a good question.
This is a big loaded question.
Franklin's.
Okay.
Franklin's, yes.
Okay.
I know, but I will say this. I was one of the people who did not want to buy into the hype. I'm like, man, everybody says Franklin's. So I tried different places.
Yeah.
I gotta go with Franklin's, man.
What about Terry Black's? Did you try Terry Black?
No, I have not tried there.
Okay.
Maybe I'll add those to the list.
Yeah, because everybody was telling me that it's worth it to not wait in line and go to Terry Black's, and that's where like a lot of other people go.
That's why I went to La Barbecue, because I didn't want to wait at Franklin's.
Listen, I gotta admit, Franklin Barbecue, he did a fantastic job, man. Fantastic job of marketing himself. I ordered the brisket off of Gold Belly, and I gotta be honest, man, it was legit. Yeah,
that wait list for his smoker though.
Oh. But I don't think I'd pay for that though. I don't think I'd pay.
Yeah.
It's too much money. You're paying because you can get the Brazier smoker, which is like $1,200. You know, and it's I'm not going to say it's the same thing, but I'm going to say it's pretty much like equally as good. You're just not paying for the name. But hey, you know, that's to each his own, man. You can't talk about people's setup and people get upset, man. That's crazy, man. Dude, I love this podcast. This was a great podcast. It was really nice to meet you, man. I know we got to close it up here. Casey, you got any final questions?
No, that's it. I just wanted to pick the brains of the barbecue people, because I don't do barbecue myself. Well, different form of it. I do ramen. So my barbecue takes in a form of soup. So anything that's low and slow, that's my version. I get addicted to that. But it's also really fun seeing your both faces when we talking about barbecue. Y'all light up. Like that's what y'all are into.
You know what? Because like I'm at some point that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna break up. Like I want like a piece of land. I want to be away from this COVID bullshit, and I want like have, I want to chop the wood. Barbecue. I want to go down the rabbit hole of like, I even want to create. Could you imagine this? I want to create my own charcoal. Like that's how
Sure.
deep I'm gonna
Yeah.
get. Like
Go
I want to create my own charcoal here in the US. Like I want to have either almond wood, oak, or whatever wood it is, whatever I decide, and I want to make actual charcoal to burn. Because you know what I don't like? I don't like getting lump charcoal. So I forgot where I got it from, Fuego or whatever. I don't know. I forgot what it was. I don't know. Grab them by the brisket. Hook me up with some of their charcoal that they're sponsored by. I love it. Don't get me wrong, but you know what I don't like? I don't like the odd end pieces when they break when this gets shipped. And I feel like some of the pieces are kept too big of this lump charcoal. And I was like, what if I created my own charcoal? Like, have you ever used Beachaton charcoal? Beachaton?
No, I haven't. But just to a point with the lump charcoal, it's funny you mentioned that. So I normally have another empty bag. I'll put the lump charcoal in an empty bag, and I got a mallet and break it up because you'll have like a piece of lump charcoal this big, and then the smaller, and then you. So I'm with you there. So I always break it up. Yeah.
You know what? Yeah, you know what I do? I shake off the dust. And then I pick out certain pieces when I'm building the fire. But see, this is what I'm talking about. This is what people don't talk about. And I'll tell you what. Tell me this. This is genius. And I don't know why I never did this before, but I always like if I'm cooking, if I'm doing a long cook, or if I'm doesn't matter what I'm cooking actually. I will start a fire next to the offset with just wood and a little charcoal, and then I'll use those coals to throw in the offset. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
because because at Saison, what we did was we would light the logs and then we would let them burn off before we put it in the smoker, right? You know what I'm saying? Like we wouldn't let that white smoke even touch the inside of the chamber because that's how like anal chef was, and it made so much sense because we actually fucked up a batch of like smoked tomatoes. We were smoking tomatoes, and he's like, I want everybody to taste this. Everybody come around right now. And what happened was the guy was new. He just put the log straight into the smoker
and then start the cook. Okay.
And just start and put the tomatoes in immediately. So all that white smoke went through the tomatoes. But when you're smoking something as delicate, and that's why I want to do this, because what people don't realize is it's not just about barbecued meats. You can also smoked vegetables, right? Like that where you I
got some smoked pineapples that I'm.
That's what I'm saying. Smoked pineapple,
bro.
Smoked pineapple
with this honey glaze. It's I put a honey pecan glaze over top of it. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that even sounds amazing. But so we all sit around these tomatoes, and we all take a bite. He's like, I want all. He's like, yeah, they look cooked, right? They look delicious. Okay, great. Taste one. We taste it, and I'm telling you right now, it tasted like I just chewed on a Newport, man. It was crazy. It was crazy. And he's like, okay, so this is not the result we want. And then we went to the finished product that he made. And it was on the shelf. And then he's we all taste one. He's like, listen, you taste that, right? It's just a hint of smoke. Very, very, it's like a hint of smoke, but it's a depth of flavor that you cannot get if you ruin it with this acrid smoke. And I'm like, damn, he's right. Like, damn.
Yeah.
Well, he's also Joshua Skeens, so
Joshua Skeens, I would argue that is one of the best chefs. I really wish he was cooking anymore. He's at his ranch now in Northern California, but this chef has the best palate I've ever seen in my life. Like I couldn't fucking believe it, man.
That's a crazy
I swear to
palate.
God. So Beau, when I worked at Saison, I was doing a tasting for the Angler restaurants, and it was funny because I made this dish. And he's tasting it, and he's like looking at me, and he's like, and I'm like, dude, this is perfect. What is he talking about? There's nothing wrong with this dish. And then he's like, hey, I think the garlic is a little sour. I think the garlic is too fermented. And I was like, what? And then I run upstairs, and I'm like, I look at the fucking garlic, and it had like it was too far. It wasn't bad, but you know
how the hell did he taste that post?
I have
that's just palate,
no idea.
Bro.
It was in the sauce. It was in the fucking sauce because all I did was
just palate.
I remember I just grabbed the garlic and I cut it real quick and I sauteed it in the butter. I wasn't paying attention. But then when I looked at the mise en place, I was like, fuck, how did he pick that up? He's like, the garlic is sour in the sauce. And I'm like, what? I'm like, yeah, chef. And I go back and I taste the sauce and I couldn't taste it. But then once he pointed it out, then I tasted it again. I kept tasting it and I'm like, damn, it's like right at the end. Damn. I was like, God damn.
Man, that's crazy.
Absolutely crazy.
Level.
I'm talking, my man would pick like in a vinaigrette, he could tell you exactly what you put in it. He could tell you exactly what was in it. Like that's how developed his palate was. It was absolutely crazy, man. And that's what made me really dive deep in making sure I knew my shit with like how to taste things. It's crazy. But anyway, we got to wrap this up. I got to go to work, man. Beau, it was so nice talking to you, man. I really appreciate you coming on and having this.
Likewise, man. This was kind of a surreal experience for me, man. Huge fan, awesome. And thank you for having me on your podcast, man.
Yeah, man. And now we're friends, so it's totally cool. Yeah, it was awesome, man. All right, Casey, go ahead, take us out, brother.
All right, I'm gonna close out. For everybody else, I'll make sure Beau's links are down below so you guys can find them. Make sure you absolutely have to check out his prep kitchen. Make sure we order. I mean, Beau, if we can give you money so we can be part of it, we would definitely do it. Like straight up. I'm all about it. For home use because I did. But anyway, needless to say, everybody else, thank you so much, and tune in again. Thank you.